Hey everyone, I'm Brett, and welcome to Nightwood Guns. Very highly requested video today, and excited to share with you guys the Mac 9 DS, made by Tisas in Turkey. Now, when I reviewed the cheaper Tisas Double Stack 9, everyone in the comments was letting me know that the Mac solved all of the little gripes that I had with a firearm that I otherwise greatly enjoyed. And you guys were 100% right. This thing is feature-rich for the price range, and is great on paper. But I don't like it. So in this video, I'm going to be sharing all of the pros and all of the cons that I experienced while doing a 1,000 round review. And yes, it was an exhausting 1,000 round review with this thing since I didn't really enjoy shooting it all that much. But I am just one reviewer in a sea of many, and you clicked on this video to get my opinions on this gun, so I'll give them to you. Also, if you're enjoying the channel, make sure you're subscribed because I have two awesome videos coming up: the Langdon Tactical PX4 Storm and the Palmetto State Armory Micro Dagger. Two awesome videos that you are not going to want to miss. Real quick, I want to thank Buffalo Creek Ammo for providing ammunition for this video. It definitely helped take some of the pressure off doing a 1,000 round review of this. They've become my #1 choice for training 9mm ammunition. And thank you to Bear Arms Firearms in Scottsdale for helping support the channel as well. So hopping right into the Mac 9 DS, this gun has it all. There is a reason that this has been dubbed the Turkatto. This really does have all of the features of a Staccato made cheaply in Turkey. We have a great set of well-machined slide serrations. We've got the mag well, and of course we have the bull barrel. And if you're unfamiliar, a bull barrel just kind of adds more weight out to the end of the gun and typically is going to make a gun shoot better. It helps the return to zero, so when you press the trigger and it goes bang, it's going to return right back to where you want it to, assuming everything else is tuned properly in the gun. We of course get a fiber optic front sight, and we have the QPQ finish that is actually a surprisingly decent finish for this price range. We have a full-length hollow guide rod, which is an interesting choice, but it's there. We have the ambi safety, we have a rail, and a flat trigger shoe. And of course, unlike the Tisas Double Stack 9 that is cut for the Holosun 507K and EPS carry, this one actually is properly cut for an RMR pattern optic. Now, I know someone's going to ask, the optic that I have on here is the Gideon Omega, and no, I do not recommend it, and you're going to get a little bonus in this video. You're going to get a mini review of the Gideon Omega when I talk about the actual mounting of the optic to the pistol. All of the features on this pistol were very well thought out because basically they just looked at the 2011s that are selling really well on the market, Staccatos, and just copied everything. And then, of course, they can use the cheapest machining labor on the planet that is halfway decent in Turkey in order to make an extremely affordable version of it. So on top of all of those features, this gun is very accurate. I benched this thing and, of course, was cut in one-hole groups, so this thing definitely does its job. And on top of that, it was 100% reliable. Throughout 1,000 rounds, I never had a malfunction. Now, that's not to say that some questionable things didn't happen, but the thing never choked. So based on all of those qualifications, I would say that this is a good gun. If you've already ordered one of these, don't start pooping your pants because it's not a terrible gun by any means. That being said, I don't like it and I did not enjoy shooting this thing. Now, diving right into the negatives of this pistol, the first thing is the grip texture on this is terrible. I mean, out of every 2011 pistol I've ever handled, this has the worst texture out of all of them. It has zero traction and is just flat out slippery, even with dry hands. Now, it's not a huge deal. You can still run this thing with dry hands, but the second your hands get sweaty or wet or anything like that, this thing becomes a slip and slide. This was a minor complaint of mine on the Tisas Double Stack 9. It's even worse on this. I would take that Tisas Double Stack grip module any day over this one. It also has checkering on the front strap and the back strap that is not aggressive at all. Your hand will still slip on every single surface of this grip. Next up, this gun is oversprung as heck, brother. That makes this thing really hard to run accurately at speed. I mean, you're riding the lightning when you're running this thing. This heavy spring is just really impacting hard and just slamming home even harder. Lots of dip, and this thing is just flying all over the place. This thing really needs a lighter spring. As if that wasn't enough, definitely noticed some telltale signs of extractor tuning issues because ejection was extremely erratic. So in the video, you'll see casings spitting out every which way, and some of them even just barely hop out of the chamber and then get yeeted forward by the optic. So when people say that you get what you pay for, yeah, the money that you're saving is getting taken out of the fine tuning. And with something like a 1911 or a 2011, that tuning's pretty important. Next up, the disconnector is putting a lot of pressure, and it's really sharp on the underside of the slide, so this thing very much has a kind of ka-chunk moving over that disconnector as you're shooting it. So basically it goes back and then it hangs up, back, hangs up, back, hangs up. And this of course happens while you're shooting, the slide is reciprocating. Along with it being oversprung, this thing is really hard to run accurately at speed because the trigger is really heavy. I must have got lucky on that Tisas double stack 9 that was breaking at like 4 or 4.5 pounds, I don't remember. Either way, that thing had a great trigger, very crisp and clean. This thing breaks at 6 pounds, and that is really heavy for a 2011 or 1911 style pistol. I mean, in my opinion, that's kind of heavy for anything other than a tuned double action trigger. And because of that, you're losing a huge advantage of this platform, having that trigger that's really easy to work fast. And as if that wasn't bad enough, the trigger shoe that they chose for this thing is like stupid long. This has a very long trigger reach. So unless you have, I'm talking freakishly long fingers, you're gonna end up working this trigger out here at the end instead of back here. So you're gonna have less strength on your trigger finger, pulling a heavier trigger. And you're working it, like I said, out here where it's more difficult to have that fine tactile movement, versus it being a shorter reach in here where you can run it all day long really fast with decent strength in your trigger finger. My next issue with the pistol is that the safety is really flaccid when you turn it off. It's just very, it is too easy to turn the safety off. It's not positive either. It's very positive, clicky up, but going down, it's very, So the problem with this is if you're carrying the pistol and you have this ambidextrous safety, it's really easy for it to get bumped off because it's not very positive. And if you're carrying a single action only pistol, you want to make sure that safety is engaged until you need to zero some dude kicking down your bathroom door because he wants to penetrate your pooper. Finally, we move up to the optic situation. So I could not get any co-witness at all with either the Gideon Omega or a Holosun 507 comp. Sights were completely covered up. Now, if you got yourself a lower deck optic, I think you could probably squeeze like a lower 1/100th co-witness out of this thing, but this seems to be some kind of mistake that they made. I'm sure they'll sort this out, but it's definitely a bummer right now. As far as the Gideon Omega goes, definitely don't recommend it. This thing lost 0 at about 400 rounds into shooting this thing. Finally, back here in the optic area, the optic plate that came on this was nearly impossible to remove from the gun. I've never run into anything like this before. There's a bunch of like sticky gunk in there, and it was wedged so tightly in there that it took a Herculean feat to remove the optic plate. And if you don't believe me, I look forward to you getting one of these and then telling me how right I was. Like, I mount optics all the time. This thing was just comical. I almost wish that I was recording it just so you could have seen the crap that I had to go through to get that optic plate off of here. So all of that being said, out of the box, this thing does not shoot as well as most of the other competitors on the market. That does not make this a bad pistol. All I'm saying is, if you want to get into the double stack 1911 game for as cheap as possible, get that Tisas double stack 9 duty that I was talking about. And specifically, you're going to have to trust me on this one. Get the 5-inch duty. That's the one that just shoots like a dream. Everybody wants that shorter barrel, but I'm telling you that longer barrel duty is 100% the way to go. So there is a better, cheaper option out there on the market, albeit it does not have all of the fancy Turkatto features that this one has. So if you don't mind any of those things that I complained about, you don't care about the heavier trigger, you don't care about it getting hung up on the disconnector, or the extractor isn't tuned well, it didn't malfunction after all. If you just want to enjoy a staccato adjacent or we have staccato at home experience, then this is a decent option. But my guess is a lot of you want to get into the double stack 1911 game because you want the advantages that this platform has to offer. And unfortunately, with the way that this is sprung and with the weight of the trigger and with no grip texture, this thing kinda doesn't do anything that your run-of-the-mill striker gun or DASA gun can't. Of course, my default snobby recommendation is always going to be go with Bull Armory or Staccato, or if you want to hop up a notch, get an Atlas Gunworks. But like I said, just by definition, this is a good gun. It went bang every time I pulled the trigger, and it never jammed. But if you want to experience the advantages that this platform normally has to offer, you're going to have to change out a lot of stuff on this. And that's going to start adding up, let alone being a bit of a hassle. So just, if you want this thing, be prepared to have to change a bunch of stuff on it. This pistol, since it is all forged parts, no metal injection molding, is a great foundation to tinker with. And maybe that's where this is going to shine. I really hope Mac and Tisas listens to all of the feedback that consumers are giving on this pistol, because a Gen 2 of this could just completely change the game. There's a reason everyone was asking for this review, and there's a reason everybody is hyped about this pistol. They are thirsty for this price range with these features. The next step is just making it as shootable as the other competitors on the market. That being said, you could certainly do a lot worse than this one as far as double stack 1911s go. At least it runs. So let me know down below if this kind of killed your high on this gun, or if you think you're gonna get it anyways. If you enjoyed the video, check the links in the description down below to support the channel. Make sure you're subscribed, hit that like, thumbs up, and leave a comment down below to give this video staying power in the algorithm. It was great seeing you again, and I'll see you in the next video. I'm Brett, and this was Nightwood Guns. Nightwood out!